Hi, young or old here, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about the safest and best way to park your bike. Now don't click back. I've seen all these mistakes being made. Even done it myself a while ago. Watch the intro. A lot of bikes don't come with a centre stand now, unless you pay extra for them, but the side stand is the most common one used. But there's certain rules we teach on how to use it. Now, as I was in a rush, well, that's my excuse for my stupidity. I parked my bike on the drive and engaged the side stand. Well, at least I thought I did, but as I went to get off the bike, over she went. Good job I went down with it, as basically the bike landed on my leg and prevented any damage to the bike. Yeah, my leg was bruised, but that repaired itself without any money being spent. It's vital to look and make sure that the side stand is fully down, facing slightly forwards before we get off the bike. Now, as daft as it may seem, when you get off the bike, make sure the engine is turned off. I have seen someone get off a bike, engine running, go to deploy the side stand, but they've hit the gear lever by mistake. The bike stalls, lunges forward, and the rider and bike usually end up on the floor. So let's assume the engine is off, side stand down, and we're ready to dismount. Before we cock our right leg off the bike, grab the front brake to steady the bike, and once we're off we can then turn the bars to the left and then release the front brake. Reverse the process when mounting the bike. Lean angles. Now when the bike is on its side stand, the bike should be leaning to the left hand side. So if you're parked on a level surface, that's fine, but if you're parked on unlevel ground, example, the ground is higher on the stand side of the bike could now be too upright, therefore making it unstable. Now if the ground is lower on that side, the bike could be leaning over too much, also not good. Plus it will be harder to mount the bike, and harder still to lift the bike upright. Now let's look at where and where not to park. If you're parking on the roadside, always try and park in the direction of the traffic, as this makes it safer to mount and dismount the bike, as we're not standing in the road with the danger of passing traffic. Also, the road dips down towards the curb, so this will mean the bike will be at a better lean angle. I like to park with the rear tyre touching the curb, making sure there's no nails or broken glass are present to damage the tyre. The curb actually makes a good handbrake. Now the front wheel is then probably about a foot away from the curb, making it easy just to ride out of the parking space and not having to paddle the bike about. A word of warning here, and it's to look out for drains. I've actually seen it done where a rider put his side stand down, leaned the bike over, and the stand went straight through the gap in the drain cover. Needless to say, over the bike went and the rider with it. So there we are, parked. Check the gutter, no glass or anything, just some leaves, no drains, back wheels touching the curb, it's in gear, front end sticking out a bit. Nice and safely parked. You may have to park on a hill. If so, make sure the front of the bike is facing up the hill and use the technique I've just mentioned. The fact that you're facing uphill means the bike cannot roll forward off the side stand. If the rear wheel is touching the curb and then leave it in gear, the bike will be safe. The same situation in a car park with a slope. Don't ride into the bay, so the front of the bike is slightly lower. It's a lot easier to paddle backwards to reverse down the slope, using the front brake to control the speed into the parking space. Now the bike will not roll forward off the stand, and here again it will be a damn sight easier just to ride out rather than trying to paddle backwards up the hill or get your wife to pull you out. Oh yeah, I've had to do that. Don't park too close to other bikes, or cars for that matter. Many times I've seen a group of riders shoehorn their bikes into a row. They put the side stand down, and then when the bike leans to the left, the mirrors hit the bike next to them. This also makes it a bit tight to mount and dismount the bike without the rider kicking the bike next to them. Already. Wow. I remember a few years ago, during a very hot spell of weather, loads of bikes were attending a race meeting. I actually think it was Donington, but the tarmac got so hot that the side stands were sinking, and that caused a domino effect, and a few bikes ended up falling over, doing a fair amount of damage. Now, speaking of side stands sinking, always carry a puck to go under the side stand, as this will spread the contact point and prevent the bike from sinking. Ideally, if you're parking on grass that's wet or soft ground. If you have no puck, you can actually make one. Just stand an empty drinks can on the floor and stamp on it, and now you have a puck that will work fine. A disc lock is useful to secure your bike, but make sure you carry the lock in a locked position so that you need the key to unlock it. A mate of mine actually put his disc lock on and locked it on the bike before realising he didn't have the key with him to unlock it. Always use one of those coil plastic things, whatever you call them, so you don't ride off with the lock attached. I did this once, but as I pulled off with a bit of aggression, the bike came to an abrupt stop, making the rear of the bike basically rise off the ground. Did a little stop it. Luckily I didn't drop the bike, but I did need a new front disc afterwards. Stands are meant to support the weight of the bike and not the bike plus rider, so don't sit on the bike with the stands down. A lot of this is just common sense, and most of us should and would know better, but why do I often see these mistakes being made? As I mentioned, when I was in a rush, I didn't check my stand was engaged correctly and dropped the bike. So when you are parking anywhere, just take your time and check that everything is done right, and then you'll be fine. Well, I hope this information has been of some use to you. If you enjoyed it, please do the ticks, like and subscribe, and as always, take care, ride safe, and bye for now.